He couldn't be on the ticket because he is gay.
Kamala Harris has come out and said that Pete Buttigieg was too gay to be vice president.
No, that's not what I said.
And guess what? I agree, but not for the reason that she says.
Picking him as her vice president would have been far too big a risk, and that America wasn't quite ready for a gay vice president alongside a black woman president.
And Lady Buttigieg herself has responded.
I just believe in giving Americans more credit than that.
So let's get into it. What's up, everybody? Ty Rivera here, the absolute best LGBTQ comedian in the world. All right, so before we get started, like, comment, and subscribe. I definitely do agree with Kamala on this one. We're going to get into the video. We're going to be quick about it, though, because I don't have a lot to say on it, but I feel like what I have to say is important. And the reason I can't stop laughing is because I've always called Pete Buttigieg Pete the Booty Judge Buttigieg because I'm a child and so I can't take his name seriously. But Rachel Maddow, that bulldagga, decided that she was going to ask Kamala, because Kamala is making the rounds because she has a book out right now. A book nobody's going to read, by the way, but she has a book out right now, so she's got to run through the process of hawking her book on different shows. MSNBC is where she decided to show up for a nice softball interview. And of course, Rachel Maddow has to bring up the LGBT thing when it comes to Pete Buttigieg, not just for the clicks, but also because I think that this is what's most important to Democrats. So let's get into it.
Let me ask you a politics question. I mentioned in the intro tonight that you say in the book really bluntly that your personal first choice for your running mate would have been Pete Buttigieg, and you praise him effusively. You say he would have been an ideal partner if I were a straight man. And you say effectively that demographically it was too much to ask of the American people to ask them to elect you with him as your running mate.
And yeah, there would be certain obstacles when it comes to this particular country as far as homophobia goes, because there are certain demographics that really aren't down with gay like that. But do I think that that would be the main reason that would hold Pete Buttigieg back? Actually, I don't. Just like I don't think the fact that Kamala being a black woman is the main thing that would hold her back. I think, and I will repeat this over and over so nobody misses it, is the fact that Democrats and the left in general cannot help themselves and will turn those two things into the entire campaign, just like they did with Kamala by herself. The focus was on her being a black woman. That's what the focus was. And because that was a focus, Kamala felt content not to do many interviews. Kamala felt content not to really talk about what her platform was specifically and changes that she was going to make. Kamala felt like she had to be a voice for a particular community, when if you're going to be the president of the United States, you have to be a voice for the people, not just a particular community, not just an aspirational figure for a certain race or a certain demographic. Not to mention, Kamala wasn't even that popular with other people of color, which is a dirty little secret that nobody likes to talk about. And if you just read comments online, you'll notice that they make it seem like Kamala had the support of every black person in this country. But that's because the ones that didn't vote for Kamala or weren't really feeling her that way are smart enough to keep their mouth shut and keep their thoughts to themselves, because they don't want to have to deal with a bunch of ignorant people in their comments telling them how stupid they are for not making the really stupid decision of voting for Kamala, of supporting Kamala.
I wonder if his reaction to that, since this part of the book has come out, if you've had any reflection on that, or I guess I'd ask you to just elaborate on that a little bit. It's hard to hear.
Yeah.
With you running as, you're the first woman elected vice president. You're a black woman and a South Asian woman elected to that high office, very nearly elected president.
Very nearly elected president. Fake news. But anyway, let's take apart that little piece real quick, because she mentioned Pete Buttigieg has already responded, which he did say something about it.
Well, I was surprised when I read that. I just believe in giving Americans more credit than that. My experience in politics has been that the way that you earn trust with voters is based mostly on what they think you're going to do for their lives, not on categories. And I wouldn't have run for president if I didn't believe that.
The truth is, when it comes down to it, America is not ready for that because we'll look absolutely ridiculous. If the president and the first man have to make appearances in different countries, some of which aren't really fans of LGBT, but we still have to deal with them because we are dealing with the entire world, or I should say the president is dealing with the entire world, but we as a country need somebody to represent us. And I don't feel like the world is ready for a gay president, especially a gay president that wants to be really out and open about it. Maybe somebody that had the common decency to be a closet case, like people used to when I was younger. Maybe a president that had a longtime roommate is something we could deal with. Which I joke, but at the same time, let's be honest. The rest of the world doesn't want to deal with our president. Let's just keep it 100 for a second. Most of the other world leaders don't want to deal with the president. What do you think Putin's going to be like when it comes to the gay president? Putin's going to be like, nah, get him out of here. Get them out of here. Get her out of here. Whatever it is, get it out of my face. He wouldn't even be allowed in Russia, more than likely. And I know some people will be in the comments, Russia is fine. Trust me, Russia would not be happy about a gay president. If you're a gay person, you know that. Jamaica. Not that we have to deal with Jamaica all the time, but you know what I'm saying. There's 100 and some countries where being gay is illegal. You think they're going to deal with our gay president? I don't think so.
You know, I was right here in Indiana when this state turned blue for the first time since LBJ, and it wasn't Bill Clinton who did it. It wasn't John Kerry who did it. That happened in 2008 when Barack Obama was leading the ticket. And just again and again, my personal experience getting reelected in South Bend and a lot of other things have just shown me that you just have to go to voters with what you think you can do for them. And that's why I'm here in Indiana right now. We did this big rally on redistricting, trying to make sure that we can make the case for a politics that's about the results we can get for people and not about all these other things.
To say that he couldn't be on the ticket effectively because he was gay is hard to hear.
No, that's not what I said.
Right now, Kamala is basically backtracking a little bit because she doesn't like the way her words sound repeated back to her. But she's being honest, or she was being honest at that time, or whoever wrote the book for her was being honest, because the American public isn't ready to have it thrown in their face that this is basically a DEI ticket. That's what it's about. And there's no way that that's not going to happen because that's the way the left works. And so they're just going to keep pushing that over and over. So in a few minutes, you're going to see that she tries to blame Donald Trump for it, but it's really not a Donald Trump problem. It's a Democratic Party problem. And that's evidenced by the way that when Hillary was running, they just wanted to keep reminding us that Hillary was going to be the first female president. That was their entire strategy. And that's kind of all they're worried about. And that is what will make the American public shy away, or especially the people that are going to be either on the fence or that they're trying to bring over from the right, is that really nobody's worried about you making history. That doesn't matter to people. What matters to people is what you're going to do for them. And if you keep talking about your identity over and over and over, you're reminding people that that's what your focus is going to be. So people are like, okay, well, if you're all about black women or black people in general, because you keep reminding us you're a black woman and keep downplaying the Southeast Asian part, which is fine because that's not enough of a voting block to really matter anyway. But when you keep reminding people that you're a black woman, what the average American is hearing is that this person is going to be all about black people, which is kind of what it turned out to be. So then you add a gay man to the ticket and it's like, okay, so now it's all about black and all about LGBTQ. So where does that leave white people? It leaves them to be ignored and truly villainized by minority groups, which is a problem we already have. And in a second, we'll get into how terrible of a candidate Kamala was to begin with, which also plays into it. It had to run through her mind that, look, I'm already having an uphill battle because I'm a terrible candidate. The fact that I'm black, completely aside, because to tell you the truth, the fact that I'm black is the only reason I'm here right now. So then you're going to add a gay man to the mix that loves to tell everybody he's gay at every chance he gets. Uphill battle to uphill battle.
That he couldn't be on the ticket because he is gay. My point, as I write in the book, is that I was clear that in 107 days, in one of the most hotly contested
Today, Junior. Sorry, but that just kills me every time I see it.
elections for president of the United States against someone like Donald Trump who knows no floor.
Rachel Maddow gave her the black woman. Ciao.
To be a black woman running for president of the United States and as a vice presidential running mate, a gay man, with the stakes being so high, it made me very sad, but I also realized it would be a real risk.
And of course, right now, the press is really losing it over this because Kamala is being honest. But like I said, I think blaming Donald Trump is a cop-out. I think blaming the American people is a cop-out because it gets turned into her identity rather than her accomplishments, which outside of sleeping with Willie Brown, I don't really know what her accomplishments were. Outside of locking up a bunch of black men, I don't really know what her accomplishments were. Outside of just being able to waste money at an alarmingly fast and efficient rate, I don't know what her accomplishments were. And I don't know what her platform was to this day. Just like right there in her answer when she was like, as a black woman, and it's like, can we not hear about that all the time? I am obviously a person of color myself. I am gay as well. I don't trust people more because they're people of color. I don't feel particularly close to people because they're LGBT. If they're either of those things, that's cool. But you can't make that your entire focus and expect me to vote for you. Kamala never gave up what her actual platform was, what she was about. Was she about joy? Was she about coconut trees? Was she about getting drunk and going on? Which I'm half joking, but come on. Like I think we've seen Aunt Kamala a little tipsy more than once. So really, what was she running on? Just the fact that she's a black woman, not good enough.
No matter how, I've been an advocate and an ally of the LGBT community my entire life.
Spit it out already, Daniel. We get it, Kamala. You don't want to lose your standing within the LGBTQ community. We understand. But at the same time, you should say, look, Rachel, I understand that a lip licker like yourself wants some answers from me on this. But the truth is, if we're both being honest with each other, America doesn't want all that. That's why your dick ass is buried on MSNBC right now. I mean, like, the only place we see Rachel Maddow is on YouTube clips. She basically has been buried on MSNBC. Nobody cares about Rachel Maddow. And I don't think it's, again, because she's a lesbian. I think it's because being a lesbian is her entire personality. And so the average American just doesn't want to humor you just because of your identity. Rachel Maddow is not a particularly exciting or charismatic personality. So why would anybody want to watch her? And I know this is a little bit of a tangent on Rachel Maddow, but it again sets up what the left is about. How about we concentrate less on being groundbreaking or being the first of in some way on the left and maybe concentrate on issues a little bit more? How about we do that? How about we worry about Americans as a whole instead of segmented populations? And I know some people would say, well, Donald Trump is all about white men. Really? Because I'm pretty brown and I don't feel that way. But what about immigration? Doing something about this immigration problem we're having is helping the entire United States, whether or not anybody wants to admit that. Now, if we could get to work on getting rid of some of these Somalis, story for a different day.
So it wasn't about yeah, right. So it wasn't about any prejudice on my part, but
that
we had such a
Yeah.
short period of time. And the stakes were so high. I think Pete is a phenomenal public servant. And I think America is and would be ready for that. But when I had to make that decision with 2 weeks to go, you know, and maybe I was being too cautious. You know, I'll let our friends, we should all talk about that. Maybe I was, but that's the decision I made, and I, as with everything else in the book, I'm being very candid about that.
Yeah.
With a great deal of sadness about also the fact that it might have been a risk.
See, Kamala should stop apologizing for being honest, because that's the biggest problem with the Democratic Party, is you guys don't like to hear the truth. And that's what you should have said in this interview, is look, I may never have a career in politics again. It's not looking good right now. So I might as well tell the truth. We all need to stop lying to each other in this party if we ever want to win anything again.
Will you consider running in 2028?
That's not my focus right now.
I know
That's not my focus at all.
I know
it really isn't.
She lost $1.5 billion when she ran for president. Once you lose $1.5 billion, I don't know who's going to fund your next run for presidency. I don't know who's going to trust you with that kind of money ever again. And if we're being honest about it, back when she wanted to run for president back in 2020, $35 million was what they somehow squandered. So whether or not you care that Kamala is a black woman or a Southeast Asian woman or whatever her factors are, she's not good with money and she's not a good bet. And that's one of the reasons that Kamala herself isn't a good candidate. Anyway, that's where I'm at on it. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. If you want to see a video of me talking about who knows what, click the video on your screen. Other than that, as always, thank you for watching. This has been Ty Rivera, the absolute best LGBTQ comedian in the world.